Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here. In this video, we're going to be taking a break from the tropics as we've been talking about them for the past 1 to 2 weeks straight here. So we're going to be kind of going back now, switching back to winter. And we're going to be doing it in a big way by doing a whole preliminary winter forecast. And this will be for 2020-21, and this will be the forecast number 4. I'm planning on having 1 or 2 more out before ending the series, as winter is really nearing here and we're already seeing winter temps and all that. But yeah, we're going to be looking at the precipitation, winter anomaly, and also the general winter outlook here. And I'm planning by my 5th or 6th to actually have a snowfall outlook. This winter forecast wasn't really planned. It just came in my head today because I couldn't find anything else to look forward to or kind of forecast necessarily. So I decided to do a winter forecast because I didn't want to have 2 days straight where I didn't post. But yeah, if you really like winter and you want to know what's going to happen this winter, be sure to subscribe for more uploads like this. And obviously hit the like button since you really do like videos like these. But without further ado, let's get into the forecast. So here's looking now at the precipitation outlook here. So it's a bit different compared to my last one a few weeks ago here. So I'm kind of going on and on, changing my maps here. I'm not trying to make too big of a changes because obviously that would make it look obviously completely inaccurate. But I'm gradually making some changes here that I thought would be necessary. But let's check out now with the above average precipitation. So that's anywhere from the lemon lime green to the very dark green colors. That really just depends on how well above average it'll be, if it'll even be above average, slightly, or way above average. That's just depending on the color code. But let's start out with the lemon lime green. If you're in the lemon lime green, so it's obviously there's a big difference between the colors. So if you're in the lightest green color, almost like a limeish color, then you're in slightly above average precipitation. So what that means, you're going to be seeing a few inches more above average with precipitation. Obviously precipitation is as well rain, snow, any type of form of precipitation. So that's kind of what that means. So it's not going to be a huge difference here. It's not going to be a huge not necessarily a huge flooding and all that. It's just going to be slightly above average, so you really won't notice it there. So if you're in that lemon line, that's exactly what you're forecasted to see, in my opinion. That can obviously change to average or maybe moderately above average. But speaking of moderately above average, let's check out that second code of green. That is more of an average green color, and that's a bit more widespread. It's a bit more advancing more north, where the United States getting far more north as we go with the color scheme. So in that second shade, that's moderately above average precipitation, so it's not going to be slightly, it'll be a bit more compared to your average. So that you might notice, whether it's snow, rain, ice, sleet, anything, freezing rain, whatever, any type of form of precipitation, that's exactly what you will see there. Not slightly, but moderately above average. So maybe 5 to 10 inches, maybe 10 to 15 inches. It really just depends on your area. So that could be snow or rain, really anything. So it could definitely really guarantee more snow than your average as well. So, and then last but not least, on the above average, we're going to be checking out way above average precipitation. Yeah, we're going to be seeing a way above average here. I don't think I actually had a way above average on my last map for my number 3 outlook. This is number 4 though. So like I said, we're going to be seeing gradual changes. So this is, I know since it's not winter forecast number 1, so we're all the way to number 4, it's going to be a lot more accurate. Well, again, we still have maybe 5 and 6, maybe even 7. So really just wait until the final outlook, and then that'll probably be the most really, I guess, say accurate, even though it may not be super accurate. And I'm hoping it's not too inaccurate, because my past year was actually decently accurate, but so yeah, the way above average precipitation in the darkest scheme of green. Obviously it's kind of more a really, really dark, ugly army green there. It's hard to explain. They really color army green. That's going to be for areas in the deepest part of the Rockies here, and that's exactly because of the La Nina pattern. We're going to be seeing a ton of moisture in those general areas, and when they meet with those very large and frequent cold fronts, that's going to bring some very high amounts of rain and even some very large snowstorms, which those will gradually move eastward to the Great Lakes, which is why we have a very large area with above average precipitation. Now in the below average precipitation, it's very broad. We only have one color, and that's going to be slightly. I don't really see us seeing it necessarily really dry winter for the South, even though it's going to be La Nina. I just don't see it being moderately or way above average for some areas. Obviously, that can very well change. That's going to go all the way from California to the Atlantic coast. So that's just that northern-southern split there that we typically see with La Niñas. It usually swaps to east to west when it comes to El Niños. But again, this is going to be a very strong La Nina. So it's going to kind of be what a very similar pattern that we will see in La Nina. And also as well, what sometimes we can see an El Nino pattern for like a week or two. It doesn't mean we're having El Nino for a week. It's just we're going to be seeing not necessarily La Nina forecasts that really show forecasts for La Nina every single day of winter. So that what that means that we can see snow in the southeast. Usually it's a below average chance for snow in La Nina, but obviously we still have snow in some of these areas just below average. Now it's time for temperatures here. So let's start off with the below average temperatures, and as you can tell, same thing that happens with the precipitation. Obviously, find your color, and I'll explain what this color means. Just find where you live out there. So here's for this is gonna be for below average temperature. So if you're in that the brightest blue, that means we're gonna be seeing slightly below average temperatures. So it's gonna be a few degrees overall in the 4 months of winter, maybe 3 to 5 degrees below average, but there's still gonna be very frequent, very large cold fronts that will bring well below average temperatures. But overall, for the 4 months averaged out, you guys will only be slightly below average, so maybe 3 to 5 degrees in general. But again, you can still expect some warm fronts, but they just won't be too frequent than usual, or less frequent than usual. And the same thing goes for the moderately below average in that second shaded blue. There's still going to be warm fronts, just not as frequent, less frequent than as is the below average, or as is the slightly below average. So it'll be even less frequent, and there's going to be more and more frequent large cold fronts. Those cold fronts will be more severe and significant compared to the bright blue color. And obviously, that's kind of the more north we go, obviously the worse the cold fronts will be and the worse they hit. Obviously, when they go straight in the United States and Montana and the far northern plains, they're like 30 to 40 degrees below average. By the time they get to the southeast, it's like 15 to 20 degrees below average. So that's typically how it goes there. But yeah, here's now look at the way below average temperatures, and that's in the darkest blue. That's going to be for the Great Lakes and Midwest area, and that's going to be seeing some very large clippers there, very large frequent cold fronts. It's not going to be too common. We're not going to be seeing too many warm fronts there at all, very few. But again, there's still going to be some warm fronts in these areas, just not going to be too severe like they will be in the south. So in the south, the same goes, but it's just opposite. There's going to be cold fronts in the areas that are below average, just not as frequent as they usually are. If you're in the average where there's no colors, you're going to be seeing both, or necessarily just going to be averaged out. So won't be too busy or too boring as a winter if you're in the average. But in that slightly above average temperatures, that's kind of around 3 to 5 degrees above average overall in the whole 4 months. But there will be some cold fronts, and there obviously will be some more severe warm fronts as well that can bring in well above average temperatures, but averaged out will be slightly. And then last but not least, for the temperature map, we have moderately above average temperatures there for the Southwest, including all the way from Texas to California. But let's check out now my general forecast map. So let's check out now with the slightly warmer and drier. So that's kind of a peach color. It's a very large region, all the way from North Carolina to California, and that means it's going to be slightly warmer and slightly drier. So whatever I just explained those past two slides is exactly what it means. It's slightly warmer, slightly drier, not going to be too bit of a difference there. So it'll basically feel like it's average winter, just a little bit more boring, I guess you could say that. Now into that kind of light pink, we have winter mix. That's all the way from Texas, the portion of the mid-Atlantic. So winter mix or winter battle zone is basically the same thing. I just couldn't fit winter battle zone on there, so I put winter mix, or I should put wintry mix. That just means you're going to be a whole bunch of precipitation and action. So if you're there, you can definitely see snow. You can definitely see a ton of rain, and also some freezing rain. All of that good stuff, just it's going to be all over the place this winter. So you can't guarantee snow, you can't guarantee freezing rain, but there's a very good chance you can see all of those, if not some of those, or all bunched together. It's going to be just a wintry mix, but it sounds like. In that dark blue there, we're going to be seeing nor'easter snow. So if you're in that dark blue from Pennsylvania to Maine, we're going to be seeing some nor'easter snow. There's not going to be too many frequent nor'easters like we typically would see in maybe an El Nino or neutral year, but there's still going to be some there's still going to be some nor'easters. Will they produce blizzard snow? I wouldn't say so, but they will produce snow. And obviously, nor'easter just means obviously it's going to bring in that really strong wind as well, and even some storm surge and really heavy rain mostly. In that white region in the eastern half of the United States, we have a mountain snow. So that's going to be kind of more for the Appalachians, so all the way from the far northern Georgia areas up the crest of the Great Smoky Mountains all the way up to the Maine. So just follow the Appalachian Trail basically, and that's where you get that white map there. So just mountain snow, not too anything special or anything. In the red, we have lake effect snow, so it's going to be fairly decently active. It won't be above average necessarily. It depends where on the lake. If you're in Lake Erie and Huron, it'll be average, maybe slightly above average active. But if you're like near Lake Michigan and Lake Superior, that's a different story. There, it'll be fairly active in those red areas. If you're in the coastal areas, anywhere in the Great Lakes. In the dark pink and hot pink colors, we have hot pink or dark pink. We have snowy, so that's going to be kind of Ohio Valley and portion of the Great Lakes. It's going to be very snowy. It's going to be very cold, so enjoy that winter there. In the purplish color, we have Arctic air. So various Arctic blasts and cold fronts, very frequent. That's kind of typically where you see that moderately to even well below average temperatures on my forecast map for temperatures. There in the kind of pinkish, kind of reddish color there, we have clippers. Going to be some clippers, various clippers there. It's going to be a really interesting and very cold and just frigid winter up there in portions of the Dakotas and upper Midwest. In the dark blue, in the western half of the United States, we have snow, so it's going to be rather snowy. Areas from like Nevada all the way up to the panhandle of Texas, like we already saw this year with Billy. Very crazy what we saw there. And then in the white region, in the western half of the United States, we have rocky snow. So we're going to be seeing some snow in the Rockies there. In the kind of light purplish color, we have very warm in the southwest. So that's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be rather warm. Won't be necessarily like droughts and all that because of how warm it is, or wildfires. Really, well, there obviously is a chance for wildfires, of course. Not really because of the warmth, but because of how dry and humid the air, or how dry and how very little humid how very little humid the air will be, and obviously depending on the winds, that's definitely possible. Wildfires, not because of how warm it is, but obviously you can have more winter. The deeper the winter is, the drier it is. So winter kind of plays a part, even if it's cold. That cold, dry air and wind will definitely bring some wildfires in these areas. Very unfortunately. But won't be because of how warm it is. And in that gray color, we have average. Didn't really have much. It was either going to be slightly warmer or very wet, but obviously that's kind of false to put there because those areas that have average there weren't in any color really. So can't really put you anywhere. So average, hate to say it. And then last but not least, in that Pacific Northwest, in the light green area, we have very wet and even chilly. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bye guys.